Hello everyone, Elle from Vegan FTA here, and I've got a special guest with me today by the name of Jem Lettuce. If you're familiar with our Instagram, you may have seen her on some of our reels. Hello Jem, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have you. You are an animal rights activist. You do a lot of AV outreach, especially. Is there other outreach that you engage in, like We the Free or anything like that?
No, it's mainly AV, Anonymous for the Voiceless.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of activism, I've been involved in quite a lot of stuff. I think the most that I've uploaded online is outreach. But yeah, I mean, I've got involved in pretty much everything, like marches, vigils, direct action as well. Recently, I've been doing some investigations, which I can't really delve into much
Mm-hmm.
at the moment. But yeah, I try and get out and do as much as I can, really.
You do as much as you can. The first thing I was going to ask you was to introduce yourself and what you do for the vegan community, but you've kind of encapsulated what you do there. But it might be worth asking, like, how often do you engage in outreach? Like, how frequent are you able to do it?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, the thing is, people think that I do this like all the time and that I'm constantly like out on the streets, but probably like a couple of times a month, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had somebody ask me like, are you in Birmingham every day? And I'm like, no, of course I'm not in Birmingham every day. You know, I have work full time, and then I have like there's a lot of editing involved, as you're probably aware as well, and then like other commitments as well. So yeah, I mean, as much as I'd love to do it a lot more, um, but I think I'm quite good at kind of making my outreach videos like stretch and kind of trying to post regularly and stuff and utilizing them as much as I possibly can. So, which is why some people might think it's a lot more than what it is.
Yeah, so when you go out, because it really depends on the day, is probably going to be your response as well. But if you were out, say, for about 3 hours or 4 hours, depending on the event, how many people would you say that you end up like talking to? Wow. Yeah. Yeah, because I've actually been to an event in Birmingham and you were there as well. And yeah, there's no shortage of people there, like, at all. So you say you do the 3 hours for the animals. So the question is, what compelled you to go vegan in the first place and do all these things for the animals?
Yeah, sure. So, this is like my vegan journey or my vegan story, right? Um, I mean, it depends how far back you want to go.
Let's go back.
um, so yeah, I mean, I've been vegan for 2.5 years now.
Oh, really?
Which,
I thought you'd been vegan
yeah,
longer.
no. I mean, I was doing activism. Like, I think I went vegan in the November. What year would that have been? Like 2021, 22, whatever
Maybe
2.5 years ago was.
something like that. I can't count. I can't count.
Yeah, I went vegan in the November and then I was doing outreach in the January. So it was like a
Wow.
very quick thing. But yeah, I suppose like ever since I was a kid, I always felt that something like wasn't quite right. And then when I was like, I think probably around 15, 16, I was like, I don't know what I'd seen, I can't remember, but I was like, right, that's it. I'm not eating animals, I'm vegetarian now. And I was living at home with my mom, and I wasn't really, it was more of like a protest, like I was cutting out eating any animals, but I wasn't like replacing any of the animal products that I was eating with anything else. So I was just eating like crisps and crap, basically. And then my mum was like, oh, stop being silly. She's a bigger brummy than I am, so stop being silly, come on, just eat this. And so she kind of gave me, I think it was like a steak sandwich or something. It lasted about 6 months. And then it wasn't until like a few years later, when COVID started, actually, I was like seeing the wet markets in China, and they were eating animals, and there was COVID, and I knew it was probably like zoonotic, and I was like just really grossed out about the whole thing, and I was just like, should we really be eating animals? So I was living in my own house then, and I was kind of more like, I was like, more, I was grown up, so I could like do my own shopping and stuff, and so I was like more like switched on about nutrition and things like that. So I was just like, yeah, you know what, let's do it again, because I think it kind of like put me off the last time, so I stopped eating animals again. Obviously I didn't have the connection with the dairy and the eggs, so yeah, I did that, and then it was actually Piers Morgan that like triggered things. Hear me out, okay? So, because when COVID happened, well, I was like, I was it furlough? God, it seems like such a long time ago.
Yeah, furlough, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like having a bit of like reflection, like, what is my purpose in life and all of this, like, what am I doing? What do I want to do with my life? And I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, and like a lot of debates and stuff. And Piers Morgan was, he came up on my YouTube For You page, and I clicked on one of his videos, and he was having an interview with Joey Carbstrong.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So yeah, the algorithm, as soon as I watched that, and I was like, who's this guy? So I clicked on one of Joey's videos, and then the algorithm kind of got to work, and it started showing me some of like Ed's stuff, Earthling Ed, and I watched his, it was his TED Talk, and it was something like Every Reason to Go, what was it now? It was like where he was like debunking every single like vegan argument there ever is. Mm-hmm. And I watched it all, and I was just like, wow, this makes so much sense. And everything started clicking into place. And where I was like before, I was, what is my purpose and all of that. And then it was like, right, I've got to be vegan. Like, this is who I'm supposed to be. Because before then, it was like I was somebody that I wasn't supposed to be. And then when I went vegan, it was like everything just made sense. It was like, okay, this is who I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be fighting for the animals. Like, this is where I need to put my energy. So yeah, I started like looking into pretty much everything, and it was so intense. I had like a whole week where I was just like binge watching like everything, loads of horrible, disturbing footage and all of that, and it just absolutely completely broke me. But then at the end of that week, it was just like, right, that's it, like I can't ever look back now. And then I heard in one of Ed's videos, because I watched every single one of his YouTube videos, like everyone, in the space of like a month or two. Jeez. And then it was intense, but it was like a whole revelation. So yeah, I started like studying everything. I joined AV on Facebook in like probably December-ish, and then I couldn't get to my first cube until January, but yeah, that's where I was 2 months later.
Wow.
So,
well, you spoke about your mum, and recently you posted a video about how your mum has gone plant-based. Mm-hmm. How has that been for you? And for her as well?
Yeah, I mean, I would say going plant-based, that is where we left off. Okay. I'm not sure where she's at the moment, but I think, I mean, the intent is there. Like, mm-hmm. So she's making conscious choices, when she goes out, she'll choose the vegan option instead of the vegetarian option. When she goes shopping, she'll have a look at the labels and things like that. It's just changing habits of over 50 years. And I suppose, it's I think that's all you can kind of ask, really, is that she's making that conscious effort, because obviously there will be slip-ups and things like that, not consciously, but it's learning how to read the labels and things like that, because she doesn't really, I mean, I don't even think if she kind of knows whether honey is vegan or isn't at the moment, but I've kind of got her to commit to making that conscious effort, and then obviously I'm going to support her until she's there, because before, I mean, she was kind of like nervous to tell me before, because she was thinking, right, okay, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to tell Gemma until I'm actually there, because she's worried that she's going to do something wrong and then slip by the wrong thing or slip up and make a mistake. And then I'm like, oh, you've done this. But I think as long as the intent's there, as a parent, you can't really go wrong. And as long as you're trying and you're making a conscious effort, and, if somebody does say, do you want this dairy chocolate bar? And you're saying oh, actually no, because that's got cow's milk in, and, my kid's vegan and she spoke to me about this and it's very cruel and things like that. You can't really go wrong, and, she will get there. I know she will.
Mm-hmm. And you spoke a bit about the reason that she's gone vegan. It sounded like the reason was because of what it means to you. Is that her reasoning?
Yeah, pretty much. So when you're kind of out on the streets and you're outreaching somebody, obviously there's no prior relationship. Mm-hmm. They don't owe you anything, because they're doing it for the animals, and obviously you can only go vegan for the animals, which is why I say that my mum's going plant-based. But if you've got a kid and they're kind of fighting for animal rights and spending all of their time and their effort and their energy on it, and as a parent you've brought them into the world, and you can see the amount of time and effort and energy they're putting into it. It's more to support them. I know that's more of a selfish perspective, but that's the I mean, as long as she's not actively harming animals,
the animals don't care about the reason why you're exactly.
That's it. But I mean, I think it's possible that she will go vegan, because I mean, it's been over 2 years I've been kind of planting those seeds and things like that, and I'm sure every vegan can relate. Every time they see their family and they come home and they're like, oh, that was a waste of time, why did I say that? They didn't even listen to anything that I'd said. But when I was speaking to my mom, she was saying things that I'd said to her months and months ago, and I was like, what? You've actually listened? You took that on board? And she was saying some of the right things, and she was saying oh yeah, everybody, I can't really remember the things that she was saying, but I was like, yeah, that's right. I didn't think you were even listening or paying attention. So you think that you're wasting your breath the whole time, but these little seeds, they were going in, and she was thinking about it, and she said that she was going on holiday. She was traveling somewhere, and she was thinking I'm gonna start going plant-based. And she was thinking about all of the things that I'd said, and they'd kind of resonated with her, and I had no idea that they had. So
I like the kind of term, the conversation doesn't end when you stop speaking, because it makes you a bit more conscientious about the things that you say, and it gives the hope that they were actually listening. Now, we talked about her reason to go plant-based, and possibly vegan in the future. But to you, what is the most compelling reason to go vegan?
Well, I think the only reason really is for the animals. Obviously, if you're going to use the word vegan, because it's a stance against animal cruelty and exploitation. And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding in what veganism is, which, yeah, I think is an issue in itself. I think that we need to be doing a lot more work to kind of educate people on what being vegan actually is, because a lot of people are misusing the term. It creates a lot of confusion. So yeah, always the animals, always.
I love that. As a vegan for the animals, we appreciate that response. So
Yeah.
I want to talk about your outreach a little bit. It's always interesting to know what the best outreach experiences have been and what the worst ones have been. So if we start with perhaps the best outreach experience, is there one that sticks out to you in your head that you thought, yeah, that was actually a really good conversation?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the best, it's kind of difficult to, I don't know, it's going to be difficult for me, this question, because it's like, I want to say the best is where, you know, somebody's like gone vegan on the spot, or they've started crying and they've had like a really emotional response and it's really like impacted them, and they've been like, yes, that's it, they're vegan now. And obviously that is the best for the animals. But then at the same time, they were probably already quite close to vegan anyway. So, and obviously my videos pretty much always, or nearly always, end up going online as well. So even if I think that it's not been a very effective conversation with the person themselves, it could have more of an impact online.
Yeah.
If it gets like a lot of views, or if other people are more affected by it as well. So yeah, it's difficult, but I mean, I want to say, like, for me, probably like the most enjoyable is one recently that I had with a farmer. I did like a reaction video on it, because
Saw that.
I mean, yeah, it's quite rare that I actually get to speak to a farmer in Birmingham city centre, and it's even rarer that they'll actually stop and like give you the time of day and have a conversation with you. So yeah, I thought it was really really interesting and insightful as well, more so for the viewers. But I do like more of the kind of like I like more of the like interesting conversations where I'm pretending to be someone that I'm not.
Like with the Elwood's organic dog meat.
Yeah. But I went to Crufts as well, and I tried like filming with my phone, but it was like really crap like sound quality and stuff. And so yeah, I didn't manage to like get any videos and stuff. But when I was there, it was that was like quite interesting, because I was pretending, I was under like the disguise that I wanted to like farm dogs in the UK, and we'd been given a permit and we were looking for like the best breed. So we were walking around and like asking questions and things like, you know, or how big do these dogs grow, and like, and what's their temperament like, and things like that. And I actually started talking to these sheep farmers, and I was just like saying, oh yeah, because we wanted to start a business farming dogs for their meat. And they were just like totally shocked, and they were like, but the first thing that they said was, I know you're going to think we're hypocrites because we farm sheep. And I was like, you've just said it. But yeah, I also had a conversation, you know, you know, those like devices where they like, it's kind of like a table, and then you have like when groomers are like shaving a dog, right? Mm-hmm. They like put something around their neck, and then they like put the lead.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. One of those.
Yeah. So there was a company that was selling them, and so I went up to them and I was just like, oh, can this be used for AI? And they were like, what are you on about? And I was like, you know, for AI, because we're breeding dogs, right? And obviously, you know, just like the dairy industry, the dogs, we're going to forcibly impregnate them. And I started like describing the same kind of like process. Mm-hmm. But then I was saying, well, we need to restrain the dogs, because just like the cows in the dairy industry, they don't like it. So, we're looking for something like a device where we can restrain them so that we can impregnate them. And they were just like so baffled, like, what are you talking about? And I was like, kind of like describing the dairy industry to them. So yeah, that was interesting. But then we got kicked out, so I couldn't have many more conversations.
Basically, your favourite experiences are ones where you confront like the farmer, and then you have the ones where you are pretending to like sell dog meat or
Yeah.
You did do for a while legalized dog meat in Birmingham, didn't you? Where
yes,
I'm gonna ask, what has been your worst experience? And in my head, I'm only imagining it would have been like something during that time, no? Or
probably, yeah. I mean, I'm probably gonna say it's got to be one of like my earlier videos, because I mean, in terms of like outreach, I mean, still to this day when I'm editing my the footage, I'm always thinking like, oh, could have done that better. And I'm kind of I don't really want to look back at some of my earlier footage, because I'm probably going to look back and think, oh my god, what was I saying, why did I say that? But yeah, it's probably got to be one of those kind of earlier videos. Maybe there's one that's called what's it called now, something about 16-year-olds or 12-year-olds, or there was like a group of teenage girls or something, and they were with someone who was a little bit older, and it was just like awful in terms of like they were interrupting me, and it was a really, really painful conversation. But I think that it's always good to kind of upload these clips, because even though you're always critical of yourself and you think, oh, I could have done that better, I mean, that's always going to be the case, I think. Well, for me anyway, because I'm very, very critical of myself. But I think there's always good things that can be taken from it. And some of their responses and stuff were just so like ridiculous that someone's got to be watching somewhere thinking, okay, like, what are they on about?
Do you ever have moments when, they're constantly interrupting you, they're saying all this nonsense? Is there any time where you just completely just shut the conversation down and think, this is where I quit this one, instead of, or do you just think this will be good for other people to see how silly they're being?
Yeah, I mean, more so like before I started making content, because I think I was probably doing outreach for about a year before I started making content. And at that time, obviously it was like your time was precious, right? Because there was always people there that are going to be like more receptive of your message and stuff. But now I do see the value in having those lengthier conversations, even if, as painful as it may be, they're interrupting and things like that, because the audience tends to enjoy it and they can take things away from that as well. So yeah, I mean, I think I would entertain it for longer now, but I would still, if they're like interrupting, and like I would have to like insert a bit of like, I kind of try and meet their energy. So if they're doing that, I kind of have to say like, look, I'm going to have to like get my foot in here and say something. Otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it has value because, you were saying about Piers Morgan actually, in a way, influencing you. Now he is the king of interrupting. So he may have had an impact on you actually taking the side of Joey and opening you up to having that thought process of like, oh, actually, I think this guy may be onto something, because Piers is looking like ridiculous right now, one might say. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a kind of quick fire exercise, and the question is, you have 30 seconds to get someone to go vegan. What do you say?
Oh gosh, the pressure. I suppose I would just ask them, like, what kind of person do you want to have look back on your life, and what kind of person would you want to have been? Because everybody ultimately is going to get there. You know, they're going to be on their deathbed at some point, and they're going to be looking back and evaluating how they've lived and what kind of life do you want to have led. Because, you know, you can't go back and change these actions now, but you can change your actions today and be that person that you're going to look back on and say, I'm proud to have been the person that I was.
That's fantastic. I like that. Okay, and something that's also really important, as well as people going vegan, is once people are vegan, you know, becoming active, becoming, you know, vocal for the animals. So the same quick fire question, you have 30 seconds to get someone to be active as a vegan. What do you say?
Yeah. So there was something that Carnism Debunked said, George Martin, in one of his talks recently that kind of resonated me. And it was something along the lines of a non-active vegan is just as much good for the animals or just as effective for the animals as a dead carnist, because a dead carnist isn't speaking out for the animals, isn't fighting for the animals. So, and you've already caused like the pain and the suffering and stuff. So I would say that what kind of like legacy do you want to leave behind? Because like for me, like I used to want nice things, you know, like nice cars and a career and money and things like that. And I'm not saying that, you know, people shouldn't strive for those things, but ultimately when you're no longer here, those things won't even matter. They'll all be gone. But then what you can leave behind, what does matter is the legacy that you're leaving behind. And if you were one of those animals, what would you want somebody to do if it was you in their position? That's what I would say.
Excellent. Again. Okay, so this is Jem Lettuce, everyone. I hope you've got a feel for what she provides. Is there anything upcoming that we should be notified of, or anything you want to say about your channel for people who might come over and subscribe?
Yeah, I suppose I'm trying to do like I'm trying to diversify my content a lot at the moment. So yeah, you might see me doing things a little bit differently. Maybe asking like thought-provoking questions and things like that. I'm thinking of going to Gay Pride next week with a sign.
Well, thank you so much, Jem Lettuce, for coming on Vegan FCA, and we hope to see more of you in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.